Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be doing a crash course tutorial here on Ideogram. I'm making this video because I made a couple of videos in the past about Ideogram, but I never really got in deep on Ideogram, how to use it, how to produce images, how to edit the images, how to remove backgrounds, how to actually make money off of the images. We're going to go through a lot in this tutorial. We're going to start at the top and we're going to talk about how the website actually functions and how you can get the best results out of it. And like I said, we're going to talk about everything in between. So let's go ahead and get started. The website is ideogram.ai. That's IDEOGRAM, just as you guys see here, .ai. And the first thing that you'll notice is here an area to prompt and hit generate. Basically, you add text, right? Whatever that text may be, and then you hit generate. Now, there's a bunch of settings here. And to be clear, I want to answer some questions here. You can use Ideogram for commercial purposes, okay? You absolutely can. There's really nothing stopping you. Ideogram is commercially available. You guys can use it commercially. You can do what you want with it, as much as you want. There's here a setting in the pricing settings. If we go to my manage subscription button here, you can see there's a section here that says usage rights, and it says we do not restrict your rights in your output. And this is for all plans, whether it be the free plan, the paid plan, etc. So it doesn't really matter. But there you go. You can absolutely use this for commercial friendliness, for commercial purposes. And I got that out of the way because that's really the first thing, the most important thing that we go ahead and utilize this software for is to, have it in our tool belt, just another tool to be able to make money off of it. Here is a prompt, like we said earlier, and this is a place where we can add our prompts. It's a prompter, okay? And when you add your prompt and you hit generate, images get created. So for example, if I wanted to create a floral, old school, country style pattern, right, with brown colors, just like this, I can go ahead and hit generate. Now, based on what I asked it to do and the settings that I have implemented, it's going to produce a certain result. Okay, so if we look at some of the settings that I enabled here, we have prompt magic or magic prompt off. We have ratio, 1-to-1 ratio, which is a perfect square. We also have a couple options here. We have 9:16, which is the vertical mode. We have the horizontal mode here, 16:9, and we also have a drop down where we can kind of select different sizes if we really wanted to. A lot of people think that there's only 3 different ratio sizes. That's not true. There's a bunch here. So 16:9, 16:10, 3:2, 4:3, 1-to-1, 3-to-4, 2-to-3, 10:16, 9:16. Okay, so this is, just an example there. Here we have the model. So we have 3 models, okay? We have the 0.1, the 0.2, and the 1.0. In terms of visibility, okay, you can choose whether it's private or public as referred to for your creations. You can see here when I hit submit, my creation is at 46%. If I really want, I can refresh, and then I can go to my profile, okay? I can go to my private section, and it will show me the results. Now, obviously, the image is 46% created, so I actually have to wait for it to be fully created, but you get the point, okay? Now, let's go ahead and, talk about things as the image is being created. In our prompt section, we have magic prompt. Magic prompt basically takes your prompt, adds to it in a creative kind of way, and produces different results for different images. I'll kind of show you that in just a second. Here we have the model. The model, you have 1.0, 0.2, and 0.1. The only 2 models I really use is 0.2 and 1.0, okay? Visibility, okay? Obviously, if you don't want the world to know about your work, just put it on private, all right? Here are some keywords that you can potentially click to add to your prompt that will change how the prompt looks. So for example, if I want to create a prompt that is a text-based prompt, So I don't know if I could find an example here, but this is a perfect example. A text-based prompt, I would write the word typography in my prompt. So I would use a button like this, typography, right? And that's an example. And I can click here, see all, and these are different examples of different prompts. We have wildfire photography, 3D render, typography, which by the way is frequently used, cinematic, poster, painting, fashion, product, anime, etc. So there's many different options there. Now, in terms of the models, some people might ask, like, well, what's the difference between the models? It's just a more advanced version of the AI in 1.0, okay? So it's been trained with more images, it's been trained with more art, it has more contextualization. When AI is being trained, the way it works is you give it images and you give it text to represent what that image is, and then it will slowly start understanding similar characteristics between all the images. A lot of the times you have to train it with millions upon millions of data points, and these data points are used to help inform what is actually going on so that the AI can create better art. So this point 2 has been trained at a certain level, and then you have point 1 that is, well, simply a more creative, better version. All right. But it's up to you how you want to go ahead and use it. All right. Magic prompt, once again, I just said this, but it will take your prompt, it will add to it, it will basically make it different, and it will create different results for you. So I want to go ahead and show you what I mean by that. I'm clicking on my profile here, and I go to my private section, and this is an example. For these images, my prompt was, let's actually go ahead and see. The prompt that I created was just Christ is King typography. And I wrote Christ is King in quotation marks. And you could see here that those prompts are not that at all. In fact, this was my prompt, like I said, Christ is King typography. And then it produced some, crazy results. Like you look at something like this, you look at something like this, you look at something like this. It switches up what is actually being created. So it takes the information that you give it, it creates a brand new prompt idea, right? And it actually, uses that idea and creates the image based off of that. Okay, so that's just a little example. Speaking of examples, when you go over to your own profile, you have the pinned section, you have the public section, you have private, and you have liked. Okay, so in your profile, if you are looking around, you see somebody's work that catches your attention, let's just say this catches my attention, I can go ahead and hit the like button here, and I'm basically coming back to it for a later time, all by just simply clicking on my profile, going to the like section, and I see the liked section here, catches my attention, I can access it later. Okay, so that's the liked section. And I could look through all kinds of different images here that might catch my attention. There's many different ways to use Ideogram to make money. If you didn't see my make money video, I highly recommend you do. But one of the ways is you could take images, sell them on stock photography. So I might find an image like this that kind of inspires me. I can look at the other images associated, and I say, you know what? I like these style images. I'm going to follow this individual. I'm going to hit the like button, right? And I might even hit the remix button. Now, what is the remix? The remix is where I get to remake whatever is going on here in my own kind of way. So I have a prompt, right? I have an image, which is the default image that has been that I'm remixing it off of. I have the image weight. Now, what is the image weight? If I want my image that's being created to be as similar to this as possible from a structural standpoint, I can increase the weight. If I don't want it to, I can decrease the weight. So, for example, I can go over here, weight scale of 3 out of 5. And instead of white-tailed deer, I can type in here brown grizzly bear, right? Just like that. And let me go ahead and fix that, and I can hit generate. I'll actually turn my magic prompt on. I'll hit generate, and it will create for me some pretty crazy productions, right? So I'm looking here, give it some time, and you can see how it might be somewhat similar. You have these moose antlers, or excuse me, the stag antlers, which is very similar, like I said, to the parent image, and you have this kind of ornate style frame to the image, which exists in the parent. So is it exactly, like the original image? No, but the more I want it to be, I could just simply click image weight, increase the image weight, and now it will be even more similar to the original. It's important to kind of toggle your prompt and the weight so you can actually come up with something that is usable, right? You want to keep that in mind. The more the image weight, the more your output is going to be similar to whatever is being produced here. Okay, so that's kind of a good idea to keep that in mind. I personally don't care for this image, so we're just going to go ahead and move forward. However, I'll hit dismiss here and get back to business. So if we go over here to my profile, like I said, these are images that are being created as we speak. That's kind of why it shows the black and white kind of approach. If I sit here and hit reload, maybe in a few minutes they'll be produced. Okay, but public, private, liked, pinned. All right. Now, let's go ahead and go to our notifications. So if I'm following people or people following me, I get to see certain information here. So this person called Design Guy followed me. I actually know his username on YouTube. I think his name is Biz Profitable. Shout out to you. Or Profitable Biz, something like that. So shout out to you. But he, I know this person. I don't know if it's a he, but I guess it's a he. He watches my YouTube channel. Shout out to you. And he followed me on this app. So it'll give me some notifications. And then here, it'll show if people remix my images, if they're being used, if people follow me, etc. So I can check out this kind of stuff. Now, more importantly, when I follow people, I can click on this following tab and I can see what are other people creating. Sometimes it's a cool idea to see what other people are creating if it's public. And once again, I can take inspiration from those things. So like you see this image is actually pretty insane, where you have an artist here who has a main image and then he's kind of like copying the style or drawing it. Pretty insane, pretty graphic, right? Pretty creative, and it's pretty cool, honestly. So I'm already following this person, right? I can just hit favorite, and I'll favorite their work. And I can always go back to it once again in my liked section to create. So let's go ahead and actually create something right now where we take the image and we start editing it. In fact, I actually like this style image, and I'm going to hit remix, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is instead of infinite space, I'm going to write the word infinite possibilities. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my prompt magic, okay? I'm going to use model version 1.0, and I'm going to set this image to public, for example, and I'll hit generate. And then I'm going to sit back and wait for this, image to be produced. So it's at 46% creation right now. And I'll come back once this image is created so I can show you how I'll edit it and what I'll do to it to kind of switch things up, all right? Okay, so what I have here is I have a bunch of images created for me, and I do like some of them. I could go ahead and kind of look at the spelling, right? This keyword infinite is spelled correctly. We have the word possibilities, which is also spelled correctly. Let's just say I like this image. Although this image is really, really good, there's some things that I want to fix with it. If I'm going to use this image for print on demand, I might want to fix it. For example, like this white part of the star here, right? It doesn't really make sense to have this. And I do like the text, but maybe I want to add some other elements to it. Maybe I want to add some stars around. Maybe I want to make the image upscaled. Maybe I want to add some quality to it. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and hit download on this image, right? So I'll go back here, I'll hit these three little dots, and I will hit download. We also could take a look at some of the other images. So we have this image, we have this image, we have this image. I think this image is the best one for now. But after I download the image that I want, what I'll do here, and by the way, I can go ahead and hit download by just simply clicking these three little dots right here. So I can, let's go back, click on this, go over here, hit download. I could share the image. I could set it as private, set it as my profile picture, do anything like that. But after I kind of get my image, like I said, I have to work on it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the image, and I'll use this software here. I'll take the image that I just downloaded and upload it into my Luminar software here. Now, Luminar is a tool that allows you to quite literally edit different images. And I'll show you how. There's different features and different functions. But this is exactly how I edit my ideogram art all the time. I do want to point out something, though. Within Ideogram's edit function, right? So if I click, for example, on an image like this, I hit like these three little dots and I hit the edit image button, there's not actually much editing that I can actually do, right? So I have like this wand marker feature that I can use, but there's really nothing else I could do to this. This is not actually helpful. It's, you know, it's kind of like the paint application. Doesn't actually help, at least not that I know of. I could pick different colors and like brush over it, but once again, it doesn't actually help me personally. Maybe there's something I'm missing here, but from my understanding, it doesn't have that much functionality other than a crop and a paint function, which once again doesn't really help. So what I'm using here is Luminar, and I will leave a link in the description with a discount that once you click, you'll be able to access this software at a discount. But basically, the first thing I need to do is I need to first understand what I'm going to use this image for. And for me personally, if I'm going to take this image, there's a few places or a few things that I could do with this. I can upload this to Displate. I can, you know, work on it a little bit more, maybe create a t-shirt design out of it, or maybe I can even sell the image on a stock photography site using, you know, the AI capabilities and the allowances to be able to do that. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to have to upscale the image. The image cannot survive with the same size that it is now. It needs to be high quality. It needs to be much larger in size. And I typically shoot for, you know, 4,000 pixels or higher. At least that's the bare minimum for me. So I'll take this image, I'll go over here, I'll hit 4x upscale, and I'll just sit back and wait a second for it to upscale. You saw it only took a second. Now this image is 4,096 pixels by 4,096 pixels, and it's just as good quality as it once was, if not even better. So you could see here, the image doesn't really have anything changed to it other than the size. So now I have to make just a small change here, and I'm going to erase this white mark here. Okay, so I'm literally just going over it with my eraser tool. Very, very basic. Nothing crazy here. Going over it just like this. Okay, and I'll hit erase. And what it's supposed to do is disappear, just like this. So now the image is pretty much close to where I want it to be. So I'll go over here and I will hit download, right? So I'll download the new image. I'll give it a random name, save it to my desktop, right? And I'll hit save. And now the image, like I said, has 4,000 plus pixels. But the job isn't done yet. If I was going to upload this to a stock photography site, it would be fine. I could just upload it the way it is. But since I'm going to be using this for a t-shirt, it's time to remove the background, maybe add some other details to it. Here is the image. I've downloaded it and uploaded it into Canva here. And what I'm going to do with Canva is the first thing, okay, this is the edited version, the 4,000 plus pixel version of the image, is I'm going to take the image, hit edit photo, and I'm going to hit the background remover. Now, a little word of advice here. Background remover doesn't always work optimally. Sometimes you will manually have to remove your background, or sometimes you'll have to manually restore parts of the backgrounds. Like, for example, this part of the astronaut, I do like it with a black head to it, so I'll just kind of color it over. Sometimes I might have to do that to get a little bit better results with what I'm doing. And if I don't like this, I can always use a software called GIMP, which is free, to remove the background. But this is the place where I'm going to essentially perfect the image, right? So I'm going to color it over here, maybe color over right here. I don't want certain transparent portions of the image showing. So let's say this part here, I'll take my brush size, decrease my brush size, and just slightly color over here, just kind of like that. And I'm just trying to create the fastest, easiest way to get the job done here. And I'll just click back. Now, once the image has the background removed, I'll go into the shadows and drop a outline to it, kind of like this. Be very, very slight, very small, nothing too crazy. And that will be essentially the finishing element of the image. The last thing I could do is I could search for something like stars over here, and I can add some stars to it, nothing crazy, right? If I really wanted to just spice the image up just a little bit, right? Add some white stars here, maybe duplicate this, put this right here, and maybe make my background black just so I can kind of see what I'm actually adding to my canvas, kind of like that, right? And this could be perfectly fine for a t-shirt design just like this. So it's not too complicated or too complex to complete, but that's kind of exactly what I would do from an editing standpoint around Ideogram. But to cover everything that we've talked about here is Ideogram will have the ability for you to create the images after the prompt is created. And what I want to do is I want to showcase very quickly the difference between the 1.0 and the 2.0. So the 1.0 produces images like this. The 2.0 produces images like this. Let's go ahead and wait for it to be completed as well. It will have images like this. Also not terrible. As you can see, there's a little bit less quality, especially with like images like this, but that doesn't make the art necessarily bad. It could still be pretty good. So is 1.0 better than 2.0? I think it depends on the application. For certain situations, 0.2 helps, just as good as 1.0. But once again, it depends on the application of usage. So once you create your image, once again, you can play around with certain settings, play around with certain things. So if I was theoretically to use Ideogram's edit internal feature, I would just go over to these three dots. I would hit the edit. And first thing I would do is I would kind of select the color, right? So like imagine I wanted to get rid of this white kind of dot here. I would select here, get my marker, and I would literally just kind of paint over like right here. So select my color. Then what I would do is select this marker button and color over just like that. So you could see them kind of disappearing. I personally would not use this feature too much, once again, because there's very little usage for it. I'll hit save, and once I make that small edit, the image is saved. I could download it kind of the way it is. I could make more edits. I can recreate images, but that's an example. When you hit these like three little dots, once again, you have some options. Set it as profile picture, download, share, edit, etc. I could even favorite it. I could pin it. A lot of things I could do here. When you're creating your prompts, this is one of the biggest things that I could suggest is don't be afraid to test different kind of keywords here. Test different things. So for example, I'll hit conceptual art here, and I'll hit this Yokio-E. I don't even know what that is. I'll hit generate and see what it can come up with. Once again, don't be afraid to test different results, to test different images. You really never know what can come up in a situation like this, and you actually get an idea of certain outputs. Obviously, the outputs are going to be much more pronounced when you set this to a 1.0 setting. The way I look at the 1.0 setting is imagine creativity amplified by like 5 to 10 times more. That's essentially what it comes down to. So you can see the differences in creation here with the images. And after this is produced, I'll have a little graphic up on the screen to show you the comparisons between the 1.0 and the 0.2 generations using prompt magic, things like that. So if I wanted to turn prompt magic off, I'll hit generate as well, right? And we do get a glimpse and an idea of how these things look like, but just to have them there, you can kind of see what will be created here. All right, and there you go. So to me, these kind of look like some of the Bape designs. If you guys are familiar with the Bape clothing company, kind of reminds me of that. But overall, pretty good, very clean look. You will need to do some editing with images like this, some cleaning. So once again, I'll take an image like this. I'll go ahead, either save image as or just hit download, take it into Luminar, go over here, drag it and drop it, right? Just like this. And I'll go into my eraser tool and I'll just erase some of this text, especially if I don't need it. You know what I mean? So I'll hit erase, right? Text like this, I'll erase as well, right? Hit erase. And sometimes I have to go over it because I have to do it properly. But you get the point as to how it's supposed to look, right? So I'll go like this, hit erase, gone, right? Go like this, erase, gone, and so on. So that's pretty much it, guys. There's not too much to Ideogram. It's very simple, very easy to use. And I'll leave a link in the description to Ideogram and the other tools that I'm using here, like, for example, this eraser and the color corrections and things like that in different settings that I can go ahead and use and play with. But with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you guys soon, and thank you for watching. If you have comments, questions, or concerns, leave them in the description, in the comments down below. All right, I'll see you soon. Peace out. Bye.